Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Breath in the Clay Good Friday Passover Communion Gathering. I'm Stephen Roach, and I'm the founder and the lead troublemaker of the Breath in the Clay Creative Arts Movement, as well as the host of the Makers and Mystics podcast. And it is so good to be with you guys online again tonight. This is our third communion that we've led, and I have enjoyed these so much. It has saved my sanity during this time of quarantine and being sheltered from everyone in person. This has been such an incredible time. If you want to say hello in the chat and let me know that you can hear me and that everything is working well, that would be splendid for me to give me some confidence that everything's working right. There you are. Thank you so much. You may notice, for those of you that weren't here for the first time, this beautiful art installation that I have behind me. And this is by a Canadian artist who is a living architectural artist named Philip Beasley. And we're going to put his website over here in the chat so that you can connect with Philip's work outside of this. But he actually donated this installation to the Breath in the Clay for our live gathering before we realized that everything was going to go online. So our team still installed it and just said, let's go ahead and put it up, even though nobody's going to come into the room. And this is an interactive installation that actually kind of feeds and moves with you as you interact with it. So hopefully, all things considered and prayerfully, if we get to continue with our rain dates of June, then we'll still have this installation up there for you to experience in person. But, for those of you joining tonight who may not be familiar with the Breath in the Clay, that may not be familiar with Makers and Mystics, the Breath in the Clay is a global creative arts gathering, a global creative arts community based in North Carolina, but it stretches across several cities across America, and now more and more stretching across several different nations around the world. And our podcast, Makers and Mystics, is our primary digital outlet, where we host weekly conversations with artists and makers of diverse backgrounds and beliefs. But our primary focus is exploring the relationship between art, faith, and culture. And tonight, we're going to hear from several voices within the larger community. We're going to share a time of communion, and hopefully, we're all going to leave more inspired than when we came. We're going to believe that wonder overcomes apathy, and that we were all created to touch something so far beyond ourselves, and that you're not alone, right? So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and introduce our first guest tonight, who is a dear friend of ours, and she's going to share a song with us, a couple of songs actually, but one song that she just released today. And this is Latifa Alatas, and she is from the band, let me look at Page. I always get it wrong because I get my words turned upside down, but Page CXVI. And so I'm going to go ahead and call Latifa up, see if she's ready, and then you guys can sing along with us. Let me type in her name here, and there's a bunch of you on here, so I'll find her right quick. Here she is. I'll call Latifa up on here and get her to tell us some about her song. I can't wait for you to hear what she's got, if you haven't already. We're also going to put her link in the chat bar over here for you. And there's Latifa there now. Latifa!
Hi, good to see you. Good.
Yeah. Say hello to everyone. I'm doing great.
Hey, everybody. I guess happy, sad, Good Friday.
That's right. That's right. Happy, sad, Good Friday.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you just released an incredible song today, and so we're here to celebrate with you on that.
Thank you.
It's such an honor to have you. You're in Nashville. We're here in North Carolina. And why don't you tell everybody some about this first song that you're going to share with us, the one that you just released today?
Yeah, it's a song called In the Garden, and it's basically referencing a time in my life, kind of an on-off going season, where I'm realizing that there are parts of my theology and faith that I need to shed and let die in order to make space for who I believe God really is, instead of just the idea of who people told me God was. And so I am a gardener, and the imagery of the garden is really significant to me. And so the idea that, when a plant blooms and before it drops a seed, that seed actually dies before it hits the ground, and then it can germinate and new life comes out of it. So the idea of death and resurrection being a constant cycle in our lives, and it just felt really timely on Good Friday.
Oh
have the
man.
song come out. Yeah.
I can't believe the timing of that. That's just
Yeah.
perfect. We just had this conversation recently, and I had no idea the song was coming out today. So this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to be able to put the lyrics in the chat for everybody to follow along with you. So I think if my friend Andy, if she's on here, you can go ahead and put the lyrics up. I'm gonna give you full screen and get out of the way, and you can do your thing.
So here we
Thanks,
go. This
Diva.
is In the Garden. In the garden of belief, everything must die. In the garden of belief, it's the fallen seeds that grow and blossom in the spring. So let it die, let it die, let it die. For this day that leads to life, it'll be alright, be alright, be alright. There's a dawn for every night. In the garden of belief, every season comes. In the garden of belief, help me lay down what's dead so it's new resurrects. Let it die, let it die, let it die. For this day that leads to life, it'll be alright, be alright, be alright. There's a dawn for every night. Don't shut me out of this garden. Help me to keep this heart open. Don't shut me out of this garden. Help me to keep my heart open. So let it die, let it die, let it die. For this death, it leads to life. It'll be alright, be alright, be alright. There's a dawn for every night.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Everybody put your virtual clap in the chat bar. That's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. And you have one more to share.
I do. This is a communion song I wrote with a couple friends. I'm part of a thing called Porter's Gate, and that's the idea of being the welcomer, of making everybody your neighbor and your friend. And it's a communion song, and I just felt like I really wanted to craft something that made everybody feel welcome at the table.
Yeah, come
So
on.
if you're somebody who is desiring that, this is for you, and the lyrics will go up, and feel free to sing along in your home spaces if you want. So this is Alleluia Sing. Come now, dear ones, all are welcome at this table. Receive the bread and wine. tears, madness, weakness, secrets, and loneliness. Hallelujah, sing a song of peace to me. Hallelujah, sing this unwritten melody. Hallelujah, sing in all souls residing. Hallelujah, sing your light, what joy it brings. Hallelujah, sing. Hallelujah, sing. Come find shelter, breathe and rest here. Comfort and peace from burdens you bear. Hallelujah, sing. Hallelujah, sing a song of peace to me. Hallelujah, sing this unwritten melody. Hallelujah, sing all souls residing. Hallelujah, sing your light, what joy it brings. Hallelujah, sing. Hallelujah, sing. Take this bread, drink this cup with me. 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 Take this bread, won't you drink this cup with me? Take this bread, drink this cup with me. Take this bread, won't you drink this cup with me? Hallelujah, sing.
Oh, Latifah, thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Yes, listen, we're going to put your web link over in the chat here so everybody can connect with you.
Thank you.
The music just came out today. That song is absolutely beautiful. I think everybody over here is just as stunned as I am at it. Also, I wanted to let everybody know about the episode that you and I did together about your project, Moda Spira, on the Makers and Mystics podcast. And we're going to put a link to that episode here in the chat as well, that people can go back and listen to that episode and hear some about your last album with Moda Spira. So, Latifah, thank you so much for being a part of the communion tonight. Please feel free to stick around as much as you're able and just join the rest of the crew. We love what you're doing and can't wait to connect with you again.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was really nice to be a part of something tonight. So,
absolutely. Well, stay safe, and we're going to see you in person soon.
Yes.
And we're going to have you at the Breath in the Clay with us very soon. One of these days, right?
One of these days.
That's right. All right. Take care. Everybody say bye to Latifah.
Bye, everybody.
Awesome. Wow. It's already such an amazing night. Okay, listen, this is fun because now if you guys get on our virtual school bus, just imagine that we're all on a virtual school bus. That's kind of hippie. I can roll that way. And so we're going to take a trip from Nashville down to Houston, Texas, where our friend and incredible visual artist, Lenicia Rouse Tinsley, has invited us into her studio to see what she's been up to these days. And Lenicia is also going to be one of our presenters at the Breath in the Clay when we get to do our live event. So let me look for Lenicia's name over here in the chat. Here she is. I'm going to invite her up, and she's just going to share a few minutes with us about what's going on in her studio down in Houston, Texas. Let's see. I think she'll be coming up in 1 minute. We'll also be putting her web link over in the chat for you to connect with her as well. Let's see if she's coming up. Here she is. There she is. I think she's coming back. There she is. There you are.
Hi.
Yes. Everybody give the virtual clap to Lenicia down in Houston.
Oh, so good to be with you.
It's so
you.
good to have you here. Yes.
Yeah.
How are you down there? Everything good?
Yeah.
All things considered?
All things considered, I'm good. You know, this morning, I think I felt a really heavy kind of grief as I went on my run at the park and it was closed, right? And just a reminder of the moment that we're in, right? But my community, right, surrounded me throughout the day with notes, and I came into the studio to do some art. So I'm feeling really good right now, and it's good to be in community with people.
Absolutely. I keep saying community over quarantine, right?
Right. We need each other.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to minimize myself and just let you share whatever's on your heart, whatever you wanted to share with the people that have gathered with us tonight.
Sure thing. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Studio D. I'm in Houston, Texas, as Stephen said, and this is where, this is my sanctuary, and I feel really privileged at such a time as this to have a space where I can come and be in solitude and silence without feeling, kind of closed in. It's a space of life, of freedom for me, a place of exploration and curiosity, and has been, especially during this particular season of Lent, a place for me to truly connect with what's going on inside, as well as connect with the divine, with God. And so it is a privilege to be able to invite you into this space. The table is really important to me, and I have a big table in here in my studio where I typically host workshops and invite people in to come to the table, because I believe when we kind of life begins, in some ways ends with communion and community. And when we bring people together at a table, whether it's food, literal food, or just like food that feeds your soul, or art, something happens. And so it's great to invite you to my table today and share with you some of the art that I am doing during this quarantine. One of the things I always ask when I approach a canvas or when I come into my studio, I ask myself and wrestle with the question of, what does it mean to be human? For so long in my life and part of my story and journey, I had a profession where I felt I wasn't free to really express the answers, to live into my full humanity. I felt I had to portray a particular image to be loved by God and by others. And so art for me, embracing this new career later in my life, has been a place of truly liberation, and a place where I am becoming human in so many ways. And so when I come to this table, I'm always asking the question, like, what does it mean to really be human? And wrestle to answer that as honestly as I possibly can. And I love a writer named James Baldwin, who says one of the many things he says about the creative process and the role of the artist is that the role of the artist is to make this world a more human dwelling place. And so I'm always asking, through the art that I make, through my art practice, how am I participating in making this world a more human dwelling place for all? And so this season, the way I am sitting with those questions is by exploring perception, the ways in which we see. I've always been intrigued by the human gaze. I think the world is beautiful. I find the human body and form to be truly spectacular and beautiful. And I love the way our bodies communicate what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and communicate things to each other. And so I'm doing some collage work where I am sitting with human form and bringing it together with abstraction, which is my main medium, my main form of expression. But I'm bringing form and abstraction together through mixed media collage to ask the question daily, what does it mean to be human? And so I am creating works like this. It's a collage piece on paper. I'm always curious about the possibilities of materials. And so if you follow me at all, you probably know, like, I will use brick and dirt, or I'm constantly kind of following my curiosity. And lately, I've really been caught with how we can care for the earth in the future and not waste things. And so my coffee, I'm a coffee lover. I've been using my leftover cold coffee in my work. And so you may be able to see some of that tint, and then bringing it together with my collage forms and strings and various objects to answer that question. I'm an Enneagram 6. And so I think this is a self-portrait. I have a labyrinth, if you see here, and then these kind of caution neon orange thread, because I'm constantly kind of battling and trying to find this place of peace within the midst of the chaos. And so that's the kind of work I'm doing right now, of mixing some of the poetry that I'm reading. I'm reading a lot of poetry in this season. Alice Walker has a book collection called Hard Times Requires Furious Dancing, and of joy and working out our grief and our anxiety and all of those things through dance and our body and form. And so that's how I'm finding life during this season. Honestly approaching my canvases, asking those hard questions, and being open to the answers that reveal themselves that only lead to, for me at least, more questions. And so it always draws me into a deeper presence with the divine. And so, that's what I'm up to.
Oh my gosh. So if you need my address to mail a couple of those, I can provide that. I won't put it in the chat, but those are amazing, Lenicia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been life-giving.
Yeah, I bet so. We'll put your web link over here in the chat. And then also we've got you linked on the Breath in the Clay's Instagram, and also I think on Makers and Mystics Instagram too. So
nice.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us and for sharing your process, opening your studio to us. We're all fans of you in the Breath in the Clay community, and we can't wait to get to spend some more time with you in person.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Lenicia.
Take care. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Wasn't that beautiful? Those were absolutely gorgeous. I'm loving what I'm seeing over here. We've got some folks from London, England. I saw earlier somebody said from Bolivia. Tell us where you're from, just in the chat. I'd love to know where everybody's tuning in from. And also there's an interview that we did on Makers and Mystics with Lenicia, and we just put the link up there for hers as well. So as we're transitioning, everybody make sure you get back on the Magic School Bus. That does seem to be a theme tonight, so I'm going to run with it. Everybody back on the bus, and now we are going to head from Houston, Texas, and we are going to go and connect with another artist, and this is Kim Morsky out in Denver, Colorado. And Kim was part of one of our Makers and Mystics live podcast events in Denver back in November of last year. And so I invited her to come up and be on the crowdcast with us tonight. So let me find Kim, and she's going to share a little bit of her process of what's been going on with her lately with her as well. Let me find her, if I can see if Kim's on here. There she is. Yeah, so Kim, come on down to the front of the Magic School Bus and say hello to everyone. Melbourne, Australia. Hello, Melbourne. There she is. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
How are you in Denver?
Oh, we're good. We're good.
Good. Well, tell everybody hello. And we're looking forward to hearing from you tonight. I enjoyed my time with you when we were in Denver together doing the live event when we could actually sit in the same room.
Yeah, that was nice.
But I'm looking forward to what you have to share tonight.
Yeah, I never know if you're going to see, you never prepare me. I knew this was going to happen. It's you might ask questions, you might not. It's been an interesting time. I'm a printmaker and I make artist books and editioned works. And I usually work out of the house when I'm working on my artwork. I'm a stay-at-home mom too, with a 3-year-old and 1-year-old. So busy and used to being out and about. So this has been an interesting time to be at home and start thinking about making work from my home, because I'm usually working in like a community print shop. It's been really good. And one of the things I shared with you, kind of the thing that I've just been meditating on through this whole thing, what just kept coming to me was, I should backtrack. So I had a show that was going to open in April. So, everyone has stuff that's getting canceled, and it was just kind of like reconfiguring like what I was going to do in this time, because that all got changed. So what kept coming to me was the verse in Psalm 23, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And I just felt like for this time that, we all have, I think we can all maybe think of a different thing that we see as the enemy right now, aside from just the obvious of like a disease. But for some people, it might be fear or isolation or disappointment for so many people having like major things canceled. And I just kept thinking, as believers, that we have a totally different situation. We might have a real enemy, but Jesus is promising that he has prepared a table before us with a feast. And I kept meditating on that. And asking, I've been trying on days where like my kids are having complete meltdowns, and I'm just like asking God for sanity. What is at your table? But seriously, asking God, like, what do you have at the table for me? And
it's a great question.
Yeah. And yesterday, our church had a Maundy Thursday service. And just as they were talking about kind of the links between Passover and the Last Supper, Jesus with his disciples, what I started thinking about was, Jesus is preparing the table, but the fact that he's preparing the table means that he is there. And so right now, like, we have Christ, we are in him, he is in us. And that's just been what's getting me through.
Yeah, come on. So
yeah. But it's been a good like daily practice, really, like speaking to myself, like he is preparing a table, he is here. And finding, asking him like what he has at the table and meditating on that instead of just kind of the swirl of information. And I think it just feels like even more information out there now, because everyone's trying to like put ourselves out there and connect virtually, and some of that's really good like this, and then some of it I just need to like shut out.
I think we've all become televangelists or something. I don't know.
Yes, whether you want it to be or not, you are.
Right. It's kind of a frightening thought. I'm going to leave that right there and not develop that, or this will go sideways. But I love what you're saying though about preparing a table in the midst of this, and that's really even what we're doing tonight. Is that we've all come together and prepared a table, even in the midst of the chaos, even in the midst of the disappointments and the cancellations and the uncertainties and the danger and the fear and everything that's swirling around in the atmosphere. And what better place to come to? And I love the question that you were asking in your own life. What do you have for me at the table? And, I think in our own ways, that's a question that we're all asking right now.
Yeah.
What do you have? What's at the table right now? And I know even in our own experience, we were one of the crews that, we spent a year working on this national gathering that we do every year. It's like the peak moment. And of course we all had to lay it down. And so the question is, what do you have at your table? And in our experience, we've seen such a beautiful redemption even that I feel like our community has gotten closer knit during this quarantine than even when we had the ability to roam around the world together. And I don't know what that's all about, but if whether you call that a silver lining or just the beauty of redemption or what it is, but I love the idea that even in the midst of the enemies, here's the table set for us.
Yeah, for sure. Part of what they talked about at our Maundy Thursday service, they were talking about the Passover, and that it wasn't about, it's the Passover is one of the things that defined the people of Israel. And that part of it was remembering their past, remembering the things that they had to walk through and go through. So not like denying the hardships, but with prophetic imagination, looking forward to the hope to come. That's and that it's really like both of those things. So it's not like pretending that the hardship isn't there,
right?
But knowing that we have the reality of God with us and what his promises are. And I've been something that, I'm an extrovert. I love to be around people, especially since I'm mostly with my kids. So this slowing down, one of the things I've thought about a lot, that's from this book I'm reading called How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy. It's really about technology and kind of has been part of what I've been reading with the work I've been making. But the author, just in the introduction, talks about why she's making the book. And she says, this book is a refusal to believe that what is in front of me is not enough. And obviously, we're not always called to be like this. And God does call us out, and he puts us in physical community. That's so important. And, more than just our immediate family or, but I think that's so important that, we're constantly looking out, trying to as if there's not enough information or there's not enough community right around us. And even just thinking about our physical neighbors that live next door, to think that they're not enough, we have to go beyond. So it's been really good practice to tell myself that daily, my kids, what I have in front of me is what God has given me. It's enough. I'm getting to talk to neighbors that I've never talked to because they're usually at work, and now we can talk over the fence when we go on walks and stuff. So it's just been good. There are really good things in the midst of it.
Yeah. Well, Kim, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Absolutely. We're going to put your website in the chat here. There it is right there that we just put, so people can connect with your work. And you can also find links to Kim and to the work she's doing on our Instagram and on Makers and Mystics. So if you're not following her there, then make sure you click the link from us. And we can't wait to hang with you in person. But thanks for sharing that encouragement with us tonight.
For sure. Thanks, Stephen. Bye, everyone.
See you soon. Awesome. Well, listen, we are going to do the communion segment of tonight next, rather than at the end. The past two times we did it at the end of the night, but we are going to leave some time. I think this is kind of a special communion night because it is right in the middle of Passover. It is Good Friday, and we're honored that you guys are hanging with us tonight. I think everybody is doing some kind of broadcast tonight, it feels like, but I'm really grateful that you guys are with us. But after we do communion, and before I set that up, I want to make sure that you know that the communion is not the end of tonight. We have a very special performance that is going to stretch the bounds of what I've done with Crowdcast before. But I'm really excited to share it with you. And that is from our good friend and aerial artist, Laura Powers, down in Florida. And then we're also going to hear a word of encouragement from our friend, Marie Tayard, who I think is over in Oregon right now. And so, but next, what I want to invite you to do is to go ahead and get your bread and your wine or your juice, whatever you're partaking with, and get ready for us to come together at our virtual table. And I also want to encourage you that if you're on Instagram, to snap a picture of your communion setup and tag us in the post. I want to see this. I want to see all of the different places that you're doing communion. Our last one that we did, I can share this with you. I don't know if you can see it. I put this on my phone because it touched me so much, but this is a rooftop from China, that someone that was, and I don't even know, maybe you're on here tonight, but you snapped this picture where you were quarantined in China and you went up on the rooftop and took communion with us there. And that just touched me so deeply. I just put it on my screen there to remind me. But I'm going to invite my good friend, Brandon Willett, up on the screen. I hope this is the right Brandon that I'm about to invite up. If not, that would be really funny. But Brandon Willett is part of the Breath in the Clay communion. If you were here at the last communion, Brandon did the live painting that we had through the whole gathering. But Brandon is also an incredible visual artist, and then also a DJ. If you've been to some of our after parties at the Breath in the Clay gatherings, you would have enjoyed Brandon's magic there for sure. But tonight, Brandon is going to share a bit about communion, and then he's going to lead us into a time of receiving the elements. So if you want, I don't know if he came up or not. Let me see if he is here. There he is. I think Brandon's coming up now. It says he's accepted and coming on. So as soon as he gets up on here, then we will give him a big emoji chat clap for him. Brandon, since you have my phone number, if you're having issues connecting, just text me and say, Mayday, Mayday, keep the ship floating. Otherwise, this is where I need theme song music. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove you and try one more time. It says you're here, but I invited you up and you didn't do nothing. Are you invisible or something? Here you are. One more time. Invite Brandon on the screen. I gave you a really awesome intro, so don't mess this up. We did test this before we got on here. There you are. You're kind of an important figure tonight, man. If it didn't work for you to come on, I might have to lead us.
Oh, I'm on.
Good, good. Well, dude, I'm excited to hear from you tonight. Say hello to everybody. And let's give Brandon a big
guys.
clap in the chat. Yes.
Clap
Hello,
in the chat.
I'm going to get out of your way and let you handle this, and I'll be down in the corner if you get lonely, though.
Okay, I'm a little nervous because you guys keep like kind of coming in and out, and so you can hear me, right? Everybody's good?
Yes. Yes.
Steven? Okay,
Yep.
Cool. Good. All right. Hey, guys. I'm going to be presenting communion today. Super duper nervous about this. So forgive me if I stutter and all that stuff. I also wrote it out so as to not kind of ramble or go any place weird or anything like that. And actually, if you want what I wrote, I can like provide it some goofy way. It's the internet. We can figure out something. So what I wanted to do, and Stephen and I talked through this, is I wanted to do communion in conjunction with Passover. So Passover started Wednesday evening, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread is continuing currently. If we're looking at the Hebraic calendar, which is a lunar calendar, I'm going to get a little nerdy, guys, so please forgive me. If we're looking actually at the Hebraic calendar and not the Gregorian calendar, of which we have, Passover beginning Wednesday night is when the Messiah went to the cross. So today is the day that he resurrected 2020 some odd years ago, which I think is pretty daggum awesome. So I wanted to do a small, and I know a lot of times in a lot of churches, they do the connection between the Passover and communion and et cetera, et cetera. And so and this has been like a big part of my heart for a really long time. That's my dog. He wants to be a part of this too, apparently. But he's like this big, so he's not a guard dog, but he is a good perimeter alarm. Okay. So I'll start reading. Yell at me if you get bored. And I know, again, a lot of people already know this. You guys are very aware of that. But for those who aren't, this is a really awesome opportunity for new revelation, new learning. And for those who do, maybe I can just add layers to what you already know and what you're aware of. This is something that I've been studying and learning about for a while now. And as a great scholar that I learned under for a really long time said, there's not a New and an Old Testament. It's all one scroll. And so this is the beauty of connectivity, understanding that God is I'm going to pause. I'll get to that in a second. So Passover is a holy and God-ordained observance given to God's people to remember their atonement, salvation, and deliverance from the hands of an oppressive Egypt. However, we all understand God speaks in countless layers in a unison voice. So not only was this a feast of remembrance, but it was also a prophetic foreshadowing for the death, burial, and resurrection of the Lamb, the Messiah, justifying not only Israel to God, but the whole world. So when we catch up to the Messiah in the upper room, so like Bible, then we got the Gospels, and then we catch up to them in the upper room with his disciples and various other trusted friends and followers. The Messiah is leading them through the Passover observance, or Seder, and that's kind of the term used. So I'm just going to use that word. As the Seder goes, it starts with a ceremonial washing of hands, but he pulled a Jesus and pivoted and he washed their feet instead. And then there's something called the Haggadah, and that's the lesson, that's the learning, that's where we learn. That's the process of reading through the story of oppressed Israel and the first Passover, which included the eating of the lamb and the application of the blood to the doorposts and everything that consequently occurred after that. And so the Haggadah was led by the head of the household, and in this case, this was Messiah. And there's a process of remembering what the children of Israel went through, using all kinds of craziness like salt water and matzah and spicy herbs and sweet chutney. It's a wonderful God-ordained time of remembrance and teaching using smells and tastes. As I like to call it, it's God's culinary ministry. And after the Haggadah, there's a meal. And after the meal, the Seder winds down with a third piece of matzah and 2 last cups of wine. So this is where we catch up with the Messiah and the story. But that was a little backstory. So sorry for a lot of words. So if you know or don't know, matzah is, sorry if you guys heard this, but it's cool. It's an unleavened bread. I got to actually flip over because I got my words. See this thingamabob? It's unleavened bread used generally for this specific ceremony. In actuality, in Leviticus, it's used for bloody offerings, as it says. So hey, foreshadowing there, right? It's unleavened, and as we all know, and all the pastors that we've heard and all this stuff, because the leaven is the yeast is the sin, and yes, it is. And then obviously, so the unleavened bread is quite the opposite. It is the sinless. The matzah is also pierced, and there's water and not oil leveraged when cooking it, and it's also roasted over a flame. Oof, right? Symbology there. And there's 3 different times matzah is used within the Seder ceremony. But this matzah, it's kind of goofy because this isn't even in the original dictate from God. This was kind of developed and created and passed down for thousands of years up to the Messiah's life, and this is called the Afikomen. Now, the Afikomen is a piece of matzah that is broken. So I'm gonna break it right now. Pop. And it's actually covered. And this, I have a napkin. It's a snazzy little khaki napkin. And it's covered, and then it's hidden somewhere. And the fun little tradition goes that then they'll let the kids go find it, and whatever kid finds it, they'll get some type of treat. But this is the last thing eaten. So there is the ceremony, as we said, the culinary awesomeness of all the crazy things that they have to eat and kind of sample and remember. And then there's the meal. And at that point, they had lamb and they had lots of good things. But let's catch up to them. So after the meal, there's the third piece of matzah. And as I've mentioned before, it's the Afikomen. Now that's a fun little word because it's actually a Greek word, and way too much saturation of symbology here, but Afikomen literally means the coming one, or he who has come. So this is the one that the Messiah takes. And let me catch up to I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit, but it was at this moment after the meal when he took the Afikomen, the third piece of matzah, the third in the process, the one that had been broken and hidden, rediscovered, uncovered, and revealed. And then the Messiah takes it, blesses the Lord, breaks it. He says, "Blessed are you, O Lord, ruler of the universe, who brings forth the bread from the earth," breaks it, and then hands it out. And this is when he looks at his disciples and he goes, "This is my body I was telling you about." And he presents it to all of them and says, "This is my body." So this is what I'd like to do right now. All of those, and it was at that moment that all of those good Jewish men and women around the table and in that room who had each observed this holy God-decreed Seder every year of their lives, all realized in unison that this is the confirmation and the galvanization that he is the one Messiah, the true God that has been declared for thousands of years to redeem them. So if you guys can take yours, and I know that we all have our own thing, and so he took the Afikomen and broke it, and he said, and I'm going to read now, and you guys take yours too. And now I'm catching right up to scripture. And he took the bread and gave thanks to God for it. And he broke it in pieces and gave it to the disciples, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Matzah is a very humble bread. Like I said, it's unleavened and it's really tasteless. Again, since it's baked, there's like no moisture in it at all, right? It's not great. It's a humble bread. So for obvious reasons, right? So that's the last thing that was eaten at Passover observance. Now there's 2 other cups of wine, and I want to tell you really quick about them. There's 4 cups of wine fully in the Seder. And these are in order. There's the cup of sanctification. I will bring you out from under the burdens of Egypt. The cup of deliverance. I will rescue you from their bondage. That's when they remember all 10 plagues that plagued Egypt. The cup of redemption. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm. And then the cup of praise. I will take you as my people. Now, 2 cups were during the Haggadah and then the meal. And right after the bread, right after this Afikomen, he takes the cup of redemption. You're probably already following along here. You get where this is all going. The cup of redemption the cup of redemption traditionally signifies the slaying of the Passover lamb that spared the Israelites from the 10th plague. This cup traditionally this cup remembers how the Lord redeemed Israel with an outstretched arm. So a little bit more here, guys, because it's really awesome. This cup in its origins was based upon the phrase from Exodus 6, "I will redeem you." And as we read in the above mentioned Galatians, that's something I wrote for something different. But as we read, the word redeem in Hebrew is ga'al, which literally means to reclaim as one's own. So it's really poignant that when Jesus tells his disciples that the wine in this cup is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for forgiveness of sins, as the blood of the Passover lamb covered the believing Israelites and Egyptians back in Egypt. So the blood of Jesus covers Jews and Gentiles today. So verse 20, if you're following along at home. In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, "This is the cup of the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you." Tonight we celebrate remembering the ultimate lamb, the lamb that takes away the sins of the world, granting freedom for all, Jesus our King. Now, one last fun little footnote. Hey, Brandon, there was a fourth cup. I'm glad you asked. That's the cup of praise. That's I will take you as my people. Now, if you remember scripture right then, Jesus does not drink the fourth cup. He says, I tell you, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine from now on until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So his Passover Seder has not been complete. He waits for his crescendo. And as he promised, he will take this cup with us at the table of the wedding feast. That's all I got.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just going to end the broadcast and go sit in the corner for about a day.
There's a lot to it, man.
Oh my gosh. Everybody, we need to just get, I don't even know where to go from that, dude.
Let's pray. How about that?
I would love it if you would. That would be great.
Lord, we thank you that you know the beginning from the end. That even when Adam and Eve did what they did, you knew at that time that someone would come to redeem all of mankind. You said that the serpent would bruise his heel, but he would crush his head. And at that moment, you already knew who you had. You knew that. And then when Abraham saw that ram in the thicket, and he said, for the Lord will provide for himself a lamb. He wasn't talking about provision and will never go hungry or never need money. He said that, God, you will do it yourself. You will become that lamb. And Lord, we celebrate you during this Passover season, in this communion, in this Good Friday, God, that you are eagerly awaiting to take that fourth cup with us when we see you again, face to face at the wedding feast. And we celebrate you and this crazy time, this weirdness that's happening, Father, Lord, only you know these days, Father. You know what happens tomorrow, but we don't. And at this moment, we just take this time, Father, to take this cup and stare you dead in the eyes and drink on it, understanding what you've done for us and what you continue to do right now for us. So we celebrate you because it is all about you, Lord. So we thank you. Amen.
Yes. Amazing. Everybody thank Brandon for bringing that incredible revelation and insight tonight. Thanks so much, brother. That was awesome. Yeah, dude, stick around.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. We'll see you soon. We need that DJ. It's time for the Breath in the Clay after party. We need to have a virtual after party.
I can do it.
I know you could. Thanks, brother. Wow. I don't have words. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, Brandon, you're going to have to give notes to everyone. Maybe we could upload a link on our Instagram or something. But listen, as we kind of hover in this place, I don't want to be too quick to move away from what we just learned and what we just experienced. So what I want to invite us to do right now is to maintain a posture of reflection. And as we do that, I want to bring up our next friend, our next guest, who is our good friend, Laura Powers from down in Florida. And we have a very clear, a very special part of the night that we get to share with you guys. And as we engage her artwork tonight, I want to invite you all to maintain a posture of reflection. There she is. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Was that incredible or what?
That just blew my mind.
Seriously. He's got to give us his notes for that. Yeah. But you're down in Florida, is that right?
Yep. Daytona Beach.
Daytona Beach. And you've been there for quite a while now, right?
Yeah.
So
I went down my spring break from college and just stayed.
Because the quarantine and all that stuff started happening while you were down there, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if you're going to be quarantined, I guess the beach is not a bad place to have to be quarantined.
Definitely not. I'm
Yeah.
not good about that part.
And for everyone that maybe doesn't know about your work, you are an aerial performer and a circus artist as well, right? Can you tell everybody some about how you would describe your artwork yourself?
Yeah, so I do aerial arts. I started in when I was in high school. That's kind of developed from there. I joined the FSU circus. That's where I go to school right now. Unfortunately, our shows have been canceled for this, like everyone else's things have been
Right.
canceled, but trying to use this opportunity to really think through who I am as like my own aerial artist outside of because I'll be leaving FSU. And so what is that going to look like after that when I don't get to be part of FSU Circus anymore? And
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the contemporary circus arts. So I'm
Mhm.
kind of trying to take that little
Yeah.
to there
Yeah.
and really kind of unite it with my visual art as well. I know there's been dancers that have done
Yeah.
that, about Trisha Brown, and so kind of trying to see how my art relates between the two mediums.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I know that you and I had a conversation a few weeks ago, I think it was, because, we were talking with you and Camille and Whitney and some of the other choreographers that we've been kind of composing this piece together. And when I knew you were at the beach, and I don't want to take credit for this idea, but I remember talking about it. I was like, why don't you take your lira and hang it from underneath a pier, And it seems like that's actually what happened. And what I'm excited to share this video of one of your performances that you've done while you've been in quarantine with everybody tonight. And I just thought it would be such a beautiful and an appropriate place to share this right after we just had the communion experience, because I've watched it and it's such a reflective piece. Is there anything you'd like to say about this piece specific before we let everybody else witness it?
Yeah, so what I had in mind while creating this piece is just reflecting on how we've all been given a pause and on negative space in a sense. We're going into the desert. It's appropriate for Lent. So I think like when we're put in moments and pauses like this, it can bring out a lot of anxiety. It can be a place of rest, or it can be a mix of both while we're waiting. And so I'm fortunate to be somewhere that's very environmentally tranquil. So I wanted to share a bit of that. And I think Jesus is really inviting us right now to slow down, to really know that we're safe in him, and to the peace that only comes from him. So I just wanted to make this piece to be a moment to just breathe and be still.
Amazing. Well, this will take me a few minutes to do the techie side of this. I got to do a screen share and then pull up it all. So bear with me, everybody, while I do this, but we're going to get Laura's performance up here in just a moment. So can't wait to watch it. Here we go. Now you guys get to see what the inside of my brain looks like right here. All right. Does everybody see that? Laura, do you see that?
I see it, yeah.
All right. You can mute yourself now. Wow. That was absolutely gorgeous. Sorry, I did not make that full screen. I want to share a link to that so everybody can see it. I'm still getting used to the Crowdcast format, and that's the first time that I've tried to do a video, but hopefully everybody could see it. I know it wasn't full screen, but that's such a beautiful video. Yeah. I'm tempted to play that thing again and try to do it full screen. It's so beautiful. Do you guys want to look at it now? I know we have one more thing coming up. I almost want to just give it the honor it needs. And let me do this one more time. I at least want to show a portion of it full screen because it looked so amazing. Let me try it one more time, Laura. I want to do this. Do this. Where's my other one? All right, watch this, guys. I can go techie on us. Don't give up on Steven yet. Watch this. Where's he? We're going to do this right. Now tell me if this goes full screen. There we go. Yes. All right. Now that was worth watching it over again, right? Perfect. Yay. Now we can all clap. All right. So I'm learning my tech stuff, but hey, look, we just had our first online aerial performance. So I think that deserves a round of applause, don't you think? Laura, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing that. It's such an incredible piece, and I love the tenacity of create anyway, of taking your circumstance where you couldn't be in a studio with your normal setup and just finding a way to create anyway. And I love that. So listen, we have links to Laura's work. We'll put a link right now in the chat. There's her website there from the Makers and Mystics. And you can also catch links for her on our Instagram as well. Laura, stay safe. And I know you're just down there suffering at the beach. So just take care. And and we're gonna see you very soon when you get to perform with us in person. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right. Thanks for bearing with me, friends. I think it was worth watching it over again to get to see it. Listen, we have one last friend from our community that I'm really excited to have share with us tonight. She's going to close us out tonight. And this is our dear friend. She's been a longtime friend of the Breath in the Clay community. And this is concept photographer Marie Tayard. And Marie has been a guest speaker at the Breath in the Clay Creative Arts events. And she's also been a co-host on the Makers and Mystics podcast. And I've also interviewed her on Makers and Mystics. So let me call Marie Tayard up here tonight, because I spoke with her earlier. And when she told me what she had to share tonight, I knew that I had to have her closed out communion for this evening, because it was just such an amazing word of encouragement. So I think she's coming up now, and we'll close out our time together with Marie Tayard. There she is.
Hi, can you see me?
I can see you and I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. How's it going?
It's going well. Isn't this been an absolutely amazing night?
Oh, it has been so beautiful. I always say when we gather together, I feel like I'm in the creative inner court. So
yeah, that's right.
A special invitation, right? Front row seat. So
that's right.
I
That's
love
right.
it. And you know, the one thing I'm going to just put in a little plug is that this is so awesome. I'm just so surprised at how intimate this feels. And I feel like it's such a preview for June. So come out in June. I'm going to be there. So I'm looking forward to it. Hey, everybody. I see the little, text coming in. It's really wonderful to see that. So
yeah, amazing. Well, I'm loving that portrait photography I'm seeing on the wall back there behind you too. That's some of your own work.
Yeah, it is. I wonder if you can see anything on my end. The screen looks really, really tiny. So hopefully, you can get a little preview. But if not, I'm here. So
that's right. Well, listen, I'm going to get out of your way, and I want you to share what you have on your heart tonight, and we're excited to hear from you. So share whatever you got.
Got it. I hope that that is that it's coming through clearly. Good evening, everyone. I am so happy and thrilled. It's just an honor, and it's just a humbling time to be here to share with all of you. So as you have probably gotten a little preview, just a few reflections I'd like to share on arts as intercession, or artists as intercessors. And I'd like to start out with a quote from Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. There is no secret that I'm biased towards his writings. And I think, Stephen, you and I did a podcast, or I hosted a podcast on him. So you can find out a little bit more about that. Yeah, and go back in through the archives there.
Yes.
So I want to begin out with a quote. And Teilhard de Chardin, he says, "It is for the artist to carry out the task of taking possession of the world at that point at which it escapes from other men." I'm going to say that again. It is for the artist to carry out the task of taking possession of the world at that point at which it escapes from other men. So that is the context here for arts as intercession, artists as intercessors, that we're capturing the point of the world at which, others are not seeing, that they're missing, that there's something going on beyond, beneath, within what we see at the surface. So I wanted to start out by acknowledging the Magal Dei, that we are all created in the image of God. And what does that mean? I mean, very rarely do we ever hear of that being truly broken down. What is the image of God? And so for today, I'd like to offer that the image of God endows us with two things primarily. The first is moral nature. That means God's typeface. That is our being, or our isness, I like to call it, our moral nature. And then our moral agency, which means that we are God's vice regents. That is our doing, our responsibility, our governance in the earth. Lanicia kind of alluded to that a little bit when she spoke of inspiration, some of her inspiration being care for the earth and its future. So again, image of God, moral nature, and moral agency. And I want to focus in the context of intercession on the agency part. we as moral agents. As artists, we can be pastoral, we can be ambassadorial, visionary, as well as intercessional. And all of those are part of our moral agency. But the intercessional part, I'd like for us to commune and embrace that part of moral agency as it reflects Imago Dei. We're in the midst of trauma, but in the midst of trauma, we have around us quiet streets, quiet monuments, and hopefully quiet hearts and spirits. The whole planet is and can be still before God right now in a way that the term that's been used a lot is unprecedented, in an unprecedented way. And, you know, with this current situation of COVID-19 all around the world, one of the things that's been really fascinating and I guess troubling to me in some ways, but then also I think it is important how a lot of public policy issues are coming to the forefront in terms of poverty, healthcare, economics, criminal justice, undocumented citizens, and overall individual and community well-being. So when we think of these things, again, in the context of Imago Dei, our moral agency and intercessorial role, what does intercession mean? What does it mean to be an artist who serves as an intercessor? I like to submit that the intercessor provides first comfort and joy. I've been listening to a lot of Christmas music during this self-isolation period. That's just been kind of my soothing relief. So comfort and joy is just one of those phrases that I'd like to hold on to year round. And that means to address and remedy what is happening within, around, and beyond our spheres of influence. So comfort and joy as number one of intercession. Number two is inspiration. We want to encourage others to the real, to the ideal, and to the best. So that inspiration part, I think that's something that just is an outpouring of who we are, but it is important to highlight that as a part of intercession. And then thirdly, I'd like to offer is enlargement. That as artists, we have an opportunity to enlarge worldviews. We have an opportunity to share perspectives on issues, and we have an opportunity to enlarge our personal and collective sense of moral and civic responsibility. And as artists, we're the ones that can do that because it's something about art, whether it's crafts or music or spoken word, language arts, literary arts, that it just bypasses the rational mind. I mean, it goes straight to the heart. So as artists, as intercessors, we can offer comfort and joy, inspiration, and then enlargement. I think overall, if I were to ask a question of all of you, as well as ask a question of myself in the context of arts as intercession, I would ask, how will the pathos and ethos of our planet change? How will the pathos and ethos of our planet change? Who knows how, right? We don't know, but we do know that it will change and that, in fact, it is changing right now. And what we should strive for in light of that change is revelation. To understand what God is doing in the hearts and the minds. Is he upsetting larger systems? Is he digging into infrastructures that, you know, COVID-19 affords us an opportunity to, really dig a little bit deeper into what's going on, and not just in our community, on our state, in the US. This is a global, planetary wide opportunity, I think, for all of us to kind of dig in and dig deeper. So overall, artists as intercessors, we're uniquely equipped to advance the kingdom. We are uniquely equipped to advance the kingdom in a way that is not contrived, in a way that is not superficial. in a way that truly taps into, again, that pathos and that ethos, what it is, how it's changing, how we can grow, how we can influence, again, provide comfort and joy, inspiration, and enlargement. So I'd like to just end with another quote from Teilhard de Chardin. You'll hear a lot from him whenever you talk to me. I'd like to end with this quote. When the world reveals itself to us, it draws us into itself. It causes us to flow outwards into something belonging to it, everywhere present in it, and more perfect than it.
Wow. Marie, thank you so much. That's so good. Yeah.
Yay.
Yes. That's so good.
Thanks for this opportunity. It really is just a joy to share with everybody and just kind of reflect on some of these things soberly. And two, I should not forget, when we are exercising our moral agency, I kind of lean a little bit more towards the intense, serious side. But
I love it.
But I recognize though that, a lot of folks are that they do connect to things that are entertaining, as it were, or humorous or joyful. I mean, I've been laughing my butt off at some of these memes coming through and, little videos, families and dad and daughter dances and everything like that. And I think too, even for those who are not professing Christians, the fact that there's so much like spontaneous and unscripted and impromptu art that we're seeing, that people around, families didn't know that they could, sing or lip sync together and everything. So I think everyone is expressing or connecting with creativity and expression in some way now, especially since things are so much online, right? And so I believe that this is the opportunity to advance the Imago Dei, moral nature, moral agency, especially in the context of creativity. It's an opportunity to advance that as an apologetic.
Absolutely.
For those in our conversations, that, this creativity, this need for connection, this need for fellowship, and just the need for us as intercessors, right? The fact that we want to tap into the suffering and to the plight of others. That's the reflection of God, the image of God in us. So I really do pray that we all can express that in our own way without pressure, right? Like some of us just have to sit this one out. But I think
totally.
But I think that, in the midst of all this, again, I'll just say, when the world reveals itself to us, it draws us into itself. It causes us to flow outwards into something belonging to it, everywhere present in it, and more perfect than it.
Yeah, I love it. We're going to put those quotes in the chat over here right now. There we go. We got both your quotes there in the chat for everybody to latch onto. And we're also going to put your website here for people to connect with your concept photography and all of your brilliant thoughts that I always enjoy listening to anytime I can sit in the room with you. So thank you so much, Marie. And we will see you hopefully in June, right?
I got my tickets and my Airbnb.
That's right. All right, Marie, well, you take care.
God bless, Stephen.
Yes. Bye-bye. Awesome. Well, listen, guys, this has been an incredible night. I want to share one brief little thing as we close. I appreciate it. I know we've gone a little over our hour, but it's not like we have anywhere to go, right? So I want to share the screen with you, and I want to give you a couple of ways that you can be a part of the Breath in the Clay community, the Makers and Mystics Creative Collective, and really just help us advance these conversations on art and faith. We have a little button at the bottom of the screen that you'll see that says become a patron of Makers and Mystics. Let me share this screen with you right quick. We'll see if I can do it better this time. And I want to show you what we have as patrons that we can offer if you want to be a part of this collective. There's several different ways. First of all, for $1 a month, you come on board, and this comes with bonus interviews, behind the scenes content. If you're able to contribute $10 a month, this gets membership into the Creative Collective, our private Facebook group, book clubs, and personal interactions and discussions about your art. If you want to take the journey for $20 a month, you'll get discounts to our live events, early access to workshops that we host, and then all of the other assets as well. And then if you want to roll really deep, which I've only got a couple of these slots left because I've gotten a lot of new students lately. And so I'm not sure how many more mystics I can take on for right now. But if you want to become a mystic and you want to roll deep, then $100 a month, and I will give you monthly creative coaching sessions and goal development sessions with me. You can follow the link on Crowdcast here if you want to sign up for any of those. And then also I wanted to let you know that we've already started this, but you can watch the previous sessions, and you can also sign up to be a part of this too. On Wednesday nights, our group is going through the book Art and Fear, and we're discussing those two elements and discussing the things of that book. So that's one way that you can be a part of the Makers and Mystics Collective. And then let me stop sharing the screen here with you. And then a couple other things. If you want to visit our web store, we have a whole lot of brand new Breath in the Clay 2020 merch that we got printed up for our March event. And then the March event never happened. So I've got a whole warehouse full of t-shirts, Fight Evil with Art stickers, and lots of other merchandise that Brandon and several artists in our community helped put together. And so that's another way that you can be a part of this. And then lastly, this is no pressure at all. This is just friend to friend. If you're able to give a one-time donation to the Breath in the Clay, this is the way we make our livelihood. This is what we're doing. This is our work in the world. And so we're going to have a button come up in just a few minutes that just gives you a donate, the ability to donate. Here it is right here. And if you're able to do that, we will be grateful for anything that you're able to give to us. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this community. Thank you so much for believing in the value of art, faith, and culture and the way these things connect. I look forward to talking to you all on Instagram. We're there most every day, posting and interacting with people. So keep in touch with us. And thanks for spending your Passover Good Friday with us. And yeah, we'll get Brandon's notes to you. And make sure you sign our email list from thebreathintheclay.com and keep up with us. Bless you guys so much. Peace. Okay, the Magic School Bus is now dropping everybody off.